All right, let's talk about inherited IRA rules and taxes, or beneficiary IRA rules and taxes. And these are updated since the new Secure Act 2.0 and the IRS ruling, giving us a better understanding of how we need to handle our IRAs, our Roth IRAs that are inherited or beneficiary IRAs. All right, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about inherited IRAs and inherited Roth IRAs. And let's understand how we need to handle those for taxes and the rules on distributions. Now, you've got two types of individuals who can inherit an IRA or inherit a Roth IRA. You have a spouse and you have a non-spouse. Now, these are the rules for 2020 or later, okay? So we're not talking pre-2020. Maybe you inherited an IRA in 2017. We're not talking about that. We're talking about 2020 or later. Now, if you're a spouse and you inherit an IRA or a Roth IRA from your spouse, the best thing that you can do with that is roll it into your current IRA. Now, if you do not have an IRA, maybe you don't have an IRA at Fidelity or Vanguard or wherever your beneficiary IRA is currently, then just open one in your name. It could be as simple as Drew Blackston IRA, and you're going to roll your spouse's IRA directly into your IRA, and now you get to treat that IRA as your own. Keep in mind, if you're over the age of 73, then you must start taking a required minimum distribution. So if you're 73 or older, you have to take a required minimum distribution, and you can find out what the schedule is for your required minimum distribution on irs.gov, or you can contact me directly or your CPA, and you can find out how much you need to take for your required minimum distribution. So that's how you work if you're a spouse. Now let's talk about non-spouses. So if you inherit an IRA as a non-spouse, there are two designations, and based on how you are designated will determine how you're supposed to take distributions from your inherited IRA or your beneficiary IRA. You have what they call an eligible designated beneficiary, and you have a designated beneficiary. Now, an eligible designated beneficiary is a spouse, a minor child, a disabled person, or a chronically ill individual. That means you are an eligible designated beneficiary. Now, if you're a spouse, a minor child, a disabled individual, or a chronically ill individual, you have to take a distribution out of your IRA or your inherited IRA over a 10-year span, or the longer of the life expectancy for you or for the individual that passed away. Okay? So, the schedule for the life expectancy is on the IRS's website. Again, contact your CPA, contact me or your financial advisor. But if you are an eligible designated beneficiary, a spouse, a minor child, a disabled individual, or a chronically ill individual, you have to take distributions over a 10-year rule or the longer of the life expectancy for you or for the account holder who is deceased. Now, keep in mind, if you are a spouse, just go back up here and roll that IRA into your current IRA or open a new account for you as an IRA. All right, do not follow these rules. Just follow rule number 1. But if you're a minor child, you're disabled, or you're chronically ill, you want to follow the longer of the life expectancies or the 10-year rule. Now, if you're a designated beneficiary, you are a non-spouse. You're not a minor child. You're not disabled, you're not chronically ill. You're just a regular working person, and you inherit an IRA from your mom, your dad, your aunt, your uncle, a friend, a non-married partner. You inherit their IRA. You have to follow the 10-year rule. Now, the 10-year rule means that you have to distribute that entire IRA in over 10 years. Now, we're going to do an example on the board here in just a second on how all this works. But the 10-year rule says when you inherit that IRA, 10 years from when you do that, you've got to have that account at zero. Now, the IRS came out with a new ruling that says if the account holder, so if mom, dad, aunt, uncle, friend, or partner, non-married partner, were over the age of 73, they were taking required minimum distributions. When you inherit that IRA, you have to continue taking those required minimum distributions, meaning over that 10-year span, you have to take out a minimum distribution every year, and at the end of the 10 years, you have to have the account at zero. Okay? Sounds intimidating? Maybe. Make sure you talk with your CPA, call me, talk to your financial advisor, but these are the rules for inherited IRAs or beneficiary IRAs. Now let me show you an example so that you can see it clearly. All right, let's go through a quick flow chart so you can understand exactly how inherited IRA rules and regulations work now after the year 2020. So if you have a beneficiary IRA that you inherited after the year 2020, this flow chart is going to help you make the right decision so that you don't get in trouble with the IRS. And we all know we don't want to get in trouble with the IRS. Now, Jim is the dad, Cindy is the spouse, and Sean is the kid. So we have two beneficiaries. We have a spousal beneficiary and we have a non-spousal beneficiary. Jim has an IRA. Jim passes away. Now, Jim's beneficiaries were Cindy and Sean. Now, when Cindy inherits a portion of Jim's IRA, now that she is the spouse, she can take the IRA on as her own. So there's no requirements to follow Jim's age, no requirements to follow a 10-year payout schedule or RMDs if Jim was over the age of 73. Cindy can treat the IRA as her own, and if she gets to be 73 or if she's over the age of 73 when she inherits Jim's IRA, she does have to start taking a required minimum distribution, which is a schedule that the IRS requires anyone who has an IRA to start taking a distribution on over the age of 73. It's on irs.gov. You can contact your CPA or myself and we can go through what your required minimum distribution was. But Cindy, as a spouse, can treat the IRA as her own. Now, if she inherits a Roth IRA from Jim, she can do the same thing. She can now treat it as Cindy's Roth IRA, and there are no required minimum distributions because a Roth IRA does not have a required minimum distribution for a primary account holder. So that's why it's really important for you, if you are working and have an IRA or a traditional 401k, to start thinking about Roth IRAs and Roth 401ks, doing Roth conversions or backdoor Roth IRAs, because your beneficiaries, especially if your spouse, will not be required to take a required minimum distribution. Now let's talk about Sean. Sean's the kid, and Sean inherits a portion of Jim's IRA. Now Sean, as the kid, cannot treat the IRA as his own. No. He has to treat it as an inherited IRA or a beneficiary IRA. So Sean has different rules than Cindy, who is the spouse. Sean, as the inheritant of the inherited IRA, has a 10-year rule for distributing the IRA. What that means is if he inherits an IRA in 2023, he has 10 years to take that IRA to zero. So he, over the next 10 years, has to get his inherited IRA to zero. Now, what if Jim was age 74 when he died and he was already taking out required minimum distributions? In that case, Sean has to have his inherited IRA to zero in 10 years, and based on a new IRS ruling, has to have the RMDs taken out every year as well. So Sean just wants to make sure that he takes an RMD and he has the account drained and out over 10 years if his dad Jim was over the age of 74. If Jim died and he was not taking required minimum distributions, he was say 68 years old, then the only rule Sean would have to follow is the 10-year rule, which means distribute the entire account in over 10 years. So I hope this has helped you with your inherited IRAs, the rules and regulations when it comes to your beneficiary IRA. If you have any other questions, please contact me in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. God bless. Bye-bye.